Hello, everybody. This is Zach at it again, and we are back for part two. I'm with George and Ryan Koltypin of Enchant Away Travel, and they are my wonderful travel agents who have gotten my family and me through two Disney trips and hopefully more to come. But as I said in the previous episode, even though I have never met them face to face, they are not only my travel agents, they've become dear friends. And I think, George, that you have a certain bewilderment about me over all your Disney clients. You say that we are the most enthusiastic Disney family you know, and that's indeed high praise because I'm sure you deal with a lot of people from all over the United States. So I'd like to know how I got that distinction or how my family got that distinction.
You are so correct, Zach. I have never met a more enthusiastic family. It's all three of you, but it stems from you, I think,
Yeah.
Zach, where you set the mood,
Yeah.
and you have pushed I think to the brink because of your last trip. You can talk about it if you'd like.
Oh yeah.
Your experience with Magic Kingdom, but I just think that you set the mood. Especially for Bella, your daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of back and forth. With Emily, and just having that magic. I can hear it,
Mm-hmm.
that you are, that is your place.
It is.
And there's something about it for you, no matter what. You guys, you and Bella, that astonished me alone. 35, I believe, characters that you guys have.
We yes yes
Yeah,
we
autographs.
went yes pictures and autographs, and that's 35 different characters, several characters we met multiple times. So but yes, that is a thing for me because I cannot transfer out of my wheelchair, so I'm limited the number of rides. There's only a certain amount of shows, and to me, yes, I'm 41, and yes, I do realize that's somebody in a costume, but whoever's in that costume is Mickey at that time, or whomever we happen to meet. And my wife, who had never been to Disney prior to 2019, used to make fun of me, and she said, "You were how old when you met Mickey the first time?" I said I was 14. And she said, "You do know that that's somebody in a car." I said, "Shut up. That's the real Mickey."
That's
So,
so that's
so
so funny. That's exactly how I grew up. My
yeah,
sister and I, when we would go to Disney, my mom would be like, especially as we got into our teen, we weren't really having it,
yeah,
but she still made us go and take pictures, and I would think, oh my God, mom, come on. And now I do it to our kids. I'm like, come on, the one time I asked you to take pictures, go over and smile for mommy.
yeah,
And you'll never get those memories back
yeah.
of, you look at that picture and you think that was a great trip. We did a lot of fun stuff, and we had a great family vacation.
And I don't have, honestly, because I'm getting a lot of that with Bella at the age. Like, Dad, I'm not a baby anymore. Don't be, because I'm like, oh, look how my pretty baby. And she's like, Daddy, please. you know. But because she's an only child, she's all we have, and we discovered Emily had a heart condition when Bella was 2, and they said, if we'd known that, we never would have tried for Bella. And me with I never even expected to be married and have children. So the fact that I do have this wonderful opportunity, I'm going to squeeze every drop I can out of it. And the first time we went, it was 2019. Thank God we got to experience it before the world collapsed the next year with the pandemic.
Really?
Uh,
Right.
because She was a month shy of being 5 years old, and I remember her seeing for Mickey the first time and her eyes just widening and her mouth being agape. And I thought, this is exactly what I want her to experience. This is it. And it is still our favorite place. Now she's still a very good sport about meeting characters, and she still believes in the magic that they're the real characters and gets the joy out of it. But it's not so much because as George said, I wore my girls slap out, and nobody can keep up with me when I get to Disney, because I had I had one day. Well, the first day was Epcot, and it was a great day. But Emily didn't get her scooter, and her ankle was messed up the second day. So the second day, we didn't get to go anywhere. And if I don't get to go anywhere when I'm going you can imagine. It was like being in a padded room. I was a caged panther for that entire day. So when day three came, my sister said, Lewis and I are rope dropping tomorrow at 7:30, and we have extended hours until 1 a.m. You can come with us. And people would have to take me in shifts. Like, my sister and her husband would be with me in the morning, and then my wife would come for a while, and then my mother would come. They had to take me in shifts because they could not get me to go back. I was at that park for the entire 16-hour duration of that day.
That's amazing.
And I was not the least bit tired when I told you. Remember what you said to me when I told you that, George?
I don't know if I can repeat that
Yeah,
on this
no, no.
podcast.
You said, Zach, you are a crazy man, and my mother and my wife and my daughter are sitting behind me on the phone going, "Yep." And there is something about, because I mean, I'm 41 years old, and sitting in this chair 10, 12 hours a day. By the time the bed calls me, I'm ready to go. And I'm very stiff at the end of the day, but I'm telling you, I did not hurt the least little bit after 16. There is something to be said for dopamine and serotonin, but there is some kind of special Disney dopamine. I mean, with the aesthetics.
Oh yeah.
With the aesthetics, and it is long lasting. And let me tell you, when it wears off, you crash, because we got back on a Sunday, and by Tuesday morning, I was feeling it in every. I said, "This is what I should have felt after that day in the Magic Kingdom." Every muscle in my body hurt, and my wife's going, yeah, stay in the park 16 hours again. Go ahead, but
Right.
if I get another shot, I'll do the same thing.
If I can jump in really quick, Zach,
Absolutely, yeah.
if I remember correctly, and I think you told me,
Mm-hmm.
the next day you went right back.
I did. Yes, I did. I absolutely did.
See?
I felt no pain for that entire 7 days. But the minute I was off the Disney property, I started feeling the pain again. It's
Right.
just it. I don't know. I don't know what. Other than there were no. I would like to put a disclaimer out there that there were no substances taken or ingested in my body in any way. It was the. I mean, this when you get into the park, you hear the music, you see the sights, you smell the whatever's cooking, and you get to eat all this wonderful food. So all the five senses are at their peak, and it's just something. Even when I had to stop and charge my battery because I was outrunning my own machine here, even I sat at a charge port, and waited for the girls to do Haunted Mansion because that's another ride I couldn't do. And even just most of my life is spent waiting on people because I'm not able to do what other people are, so I wait on them until they can accommodate me. That's just my life, and that's how it goes. There's nothing anyone can do about it. But having to wait, even in Disney, was different. I guess breathing in that Disney air, and only Disney people can know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. I've gone to Disney more times than I can count. And every time I walk through that gate and you get into the main area, what exactly what you said, when you smell the smells, you see the castle, you hear the music, I still cry every time I go in there.
Yeah.
It's just that magic.
And the first time that I saw Mickey, my father took me to see Mickey. So the first time I'm seeing Mickey since my father died is very emotional.
I'm sure.
And I, as much as I, wanted to sob on whatever poor soul was being Mickey Mouse at that time, I briefly explained the story. And I said, I have my daughter, and it's my greatest blessing. And the kind of magic that you give, Mickey, is the kind of magic that gets me through my life. And it was in Bella's autograph book, but it was Mickey at Epcot, and he wrote in that autograph book, "You are the magic," and that meant more to me. Mickey himself said that to me. And George, you said something that when we were talking that I will remember too. You said, I like, um, because you asked Mickey questions. And I'm a reporter. And what bigger star in the world is there than Mickey Mouse? So I'm gonna ask him questions. And one of the routine questions I ask Mickey is, "Do you have any place on this property that I could live?" Because I love my small town of 8,000 people where everybody knows me and I'm very well taken care of. I have great career opportunities despite my disability, and it's a great place for my daughter to grow up. Um, but the only thing that would get me out of Whitfield is if I could live in Disney World, and I'm not talking about living in Orlando. I'm talking about they would have to clear me out of space in the Magic Kingdom or somewhere on the Disney property
Absolutely.
to
Yep.
do. And I know there's some building that somebody ain't using that I could make a little hut for the three of us. I know they could carve, and Mickey's the boss, so if he's my pal, he can work it out. So it's
Right.
it's never gonna hurt to ask him. So I asked
Right.
him, and he pointed to Spaceship Earth, and I said, "Well, you're the boss, so you work on it and you get back to me." So I haven't gotten a call yet, but we'll see. And
Right.
the thing is also, and I don't know if you all know this, in the 90s, um, do you remember when Disney's Virginia was gonna happen in the
Mm-hmm.
in the 90s? Do you know about that project?
Vaguely, yes. I think
Okay.
I remember.
I do
Okay.
not know that.
Okay.
No.
Eisner was president of Disney, and they wanted to do an entirely patriotic themed park, and they wanted things to be set instead of Fantasyland, there would be a piece of the land dedicated to the Revolutionary War, and then as you move on there would be a piece of the park that would be dedicated to the Civil War, and then there would be a piece of the park that was modern day America. And they were looking at places in Virginia, um, around Washington D.C. area, and supposedly one of the areas that they looked at was with county, and which is where I live. And when I think, and there are people who say absolutely it was going to come here. With County turned down $150 million from Disney. They wanted to be here, and then I have other people who no, it wasn't closed. They didn't even consider it, and it's just back and forth. And I really don't know what happened. But the fact that Mickey could have been in my own backyard, and I have to travel 9 to 12 hours to Florida, that kind of makes me sick, considering now that the reason is, we don't want that tourism, we don't want all that conjecture, and now they're trying to build this thing around local tourism and bring tourists in. I said, if you wanted to do that, you should have had Disney here, duh. and
Right,
it,
absolutely,
and
yeah.
it just absolutely makes me sick that it didn't come here, because I said I could work there, and
Exactly.
I seriously am looking for, I go online, I look, is this Disney place looking for a writer, because I wrote a traveling memoir in 2019, and self published it, with color pictures and everything of my first trip to Disney World. And I talk about my two previous trips where we drove down the first time and I broke my nose on the way down there, and it was still the best vacation we ever had, you know. And if the Disney dopamine can cure a broken nose, it can cure about anything.
Oh
And
yeah. Oh yeah.
and and we did, as George mentioned, and I want to mention this because he was such a great help to us. Um, we deal with everyday life, which is very, very hard. It's very hard you know, to cope with daily life with all the things that we have. So we come to Disney where we can get away from that. And we went to Hollywood Studios on day 3. And Emily sees Goofy in the park, and Goofy's her favorite character, and I think that's your favorite character too, George. Is it not? You and Go-
Yes.
you and Goofy,
Yes.
you and Goofy are good buds, and and I definitely feel that as well. But she saw Goofy in the park, and there were kids there, and she said, "Can I?" Very politely asked, "Can I get Goofy's autograph?" And she said, "Well, it's up to Goofy." And so then there was another cast member, and she went and asked the other cast member and said, "Can I get Goofy's autograph?" And she said, "Well, it's up to Goofy." So what does she do? She goes up to Goofy and says, "Can I have your autograph?" And he starts to take her book, and the cast member says, "We're telling jokes right now. We're having an experience with the kids right now. He can't sign autographs." And first of all, we would never impede on any type of experience that any children would have in Disney. We would not, we're parents ourselves, we would not do that. But um, the problem with that was, if we were in the middle of an experience, all she had to say was no. But she didn't say no, and she was very rude. And as Emily, with the CPTSD, Emily is stressed anyway, fighting the crowds in the heat. So she was reduced to tears. So we didn't get a name, and obviously without a name, you can't lodge a complaint. But she went and lodged a complaint anyway, because she says, "I want it known, that I've been coming to these parks for years, and I've never had an experience like that. The cast members are usually exceptional, and the fact that we did have that, she wanted to call George, and she was very upset when she called George, and George was very, very kind, as he always is, um, about the situation. But she just decided, let's go to Magic Kingdom, and we went back to Magic Kingdom. We'd already planned to be at Magic Kingdom 2 days, so we got 3 full days at Magic Kingdom, and we have decided that if we do get a home in Disney World, that's where we want it to be. And that's why I want to, stay at Contemporary, because I think that really, I mean, Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom have always been my two favorites, because I'm obsessed with classic Disney and the golden age of Hollywood. Another thing that I love is I Love Lucy. So when Lucy and the gang went to Hollywood in the 50s, they went to the Brown Derby and Grauman's Chinese Theater. And when you go to Hollywood Studios, you get to see all these things just the way they saw it, in a Disney way.
Right.
And so Hollywood Studios will always be a favorite of mine, but we found that our home really was in the Magic Kingdom, because the Magic Kingdom sort of rescued us from that unfortunate experience at Hollywood Studios, which.
Yeah, the Magic Kingdom just has that about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's just that's to me where you really see the fantasy, the magic,
Mm-hmm.
where you really let everything go and just immerse yourself in that magic there.
And one more thing I want to talk about before we close out is something, I'm being very dependent on people. I, I don't do well being alone. And it's because I have to be dependent on people to carry out normal things like prepare my meals and get me to and from the restroom and things like that. But in Disney, and the reason I was able to spend a whole 16 hours there is because it was the one place in the world that I felt comfortable that I can get around myself. I can, if I don't know my way around, I can ask somebody and they'll help me. They'll help me get food, and they'll help me find the restroom. And I could do it myself. And I have never felt that kind of independence in my life ever. And I knew where to navigate early, where to sit early to watch the parades, and the cast members were wonderful. Um, a couple of them even gave me their numbers if I wanted to have them on the podcast. I don't know if they'll ever get back to me, because I'm sure they've forgotten me by now. But it was it was an amazing experience for me as an individual to be able to experience that kind of independence, and I don't think anywhere else would I be able to do that. So that was a very gratifying feeling. And you know, all of that happened, all of that was made possible because of the two of you. So I,
Thank
I'm
you.
I'm forever grateful to the two of you for what you have given me and given my family, and I hope that we'll be doing many more trips. Uh, we'll be doing many more trips together throughout the years.
We're
Um,
very grateful that you trusted us. And my friend, we hope that you get to enjoy those trips with your family and see how Bella transitions to her different through her different ages, to absorb the Disney experience, because that's, like you said earlier, that as a parent is just amazing to experience. And I know that's the way I deal with my PTSD is
mm,
focusing on family. I know there's people around everywhere, but that really gets to me is focusing on the kids, and I know that is something you do too.
mm-hmm,
And I know Emily helps you, and um, it's just a magical time, and we're very grateful that we got to do that for you,
mm,
so you can experience that magic.
and the parades were just phenomenal. The Starlight Parade, which, the first two times I was in Disney, I saw the Main Street Electrical Parade, and I wanted to see the aerial show at Disney Springs, and I missed that. And I think the Starlight Parade is just the right combination of those two things, only, hyped up to the nth degree. And I think the Starlight Parade was really a highlight of the trip, because
Awesome.
those
Awesome.
those parades are phenomenal, and the parade in the middle of the afternoon, the Festival of Fantasy parade, it just starts
If I
coming.
remember, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I remember correctly, you said that one of the cast members, one of the characters, came up to you. Was it Prince Charming or?
They did. I had
Yep.
I had
Yep.
two of them that came up to me in the afternoon parade. Um, One of them was Bashful, one of the seven dwarves,
Yeah.
and Prince Philip came up and shook my hand from Sleeping Beauty, and he said, "There's a dragon back there. I hope you would help me vanquish it." And I said, I would be honored, sir." And I'm very starstruck by these Disney people, and when those and my wife felt this too. So when those characters wave directly at you or wave at one of us, it touches your heart in a way that you cannot explain. And Ryan, you were talking some about that. When you were a teenager, you kind of were out of it, but now that you're an adult, you know that that's the real Mickey, and nobody can convince you otherwise. So
Absolutely,
I'm I'm
absolutely.
I'm sure it's exciting if you're in a if you see a parade and one of them wave at you. It's I
It's
would
a
say,
great feeling.
yeah, and I wouldn't say only that it brings out the kid in you. I would just say it gives you a sense of hope, because in this state that our country is in, it's in it's sometimes very hard to muster up national pride by the way a lot of people are behaving, and I think that's a pretty universal feeling. I don't think I'm getting too political when I say that. But when you go to Disney World and you see the Hall of Presidents, and you go to the Great American Adventure in the American Pavilion at Epcot, you come out of there and you think, "My goodness, am I lucky to live in this country?" And
Sure do.
because there are a few people that were patriots like Walt Disney, and
Yep,
and
yep.
not only does it remind you uh, of the magic and the innocence of being a child, but it it reinforces the importance of family, the importance of who you are and where you live, all the stuff that you worry about day to day, paying the bills and making sure your child is safe and fed. You get to actually just relax all of that for a week or however long you're there, and just you get to just be dad, and you get to just experience it with your child or with your wife, or even if they're back at the pool and you refuse to leave the park, you get to experience it as an independent individual.
Yeah.
We got to I got to relive stories with my sister, and remember when we used to sit here for the Main Street Electrical Parade, and we got to cry over our dad together, and she said she got off the soaring ride, and she said, "I've never ridden soaring without my dad," and
Mm,
you know it's hard, but
yeah.
there were so many winks that let us know he was there. Like the one charging spot in Epcot that I had where I got to plug up was right between two trees, and I'm thinking I'm not gonna get to see the fireworks. The trees are gonna block it, but wouldn't you know, those fireworks hit right in that opening between those two trees, and I said, only my dad could have done that. Thank you and Ryan for all that you did in making that possible.
It was our pleasure.
So,
It was our pleasure.
thank you, Ryan, for being in on the podcast as well.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.